In this video, I will show you how to make an image black and white using an adjustment layer, and also how to use a layer mask to reveal a part of your image in color. So here we go with the black and white adjustment layer and a pop of color. So you might want an image that looks like this. This is a really good way to create emphasis on your focal point, which would be your apple or your pumpkin. So this is a student sample from last year. So if I turn off the adjustment layers here, this is the original image. The pumpkin itself is a little bit washed out. So adding a layers adjustment to increase some darker areas so there's more of contrast and a pop of color. And then the black and white adjustment layer, and you can see that there's a little black dot here, which is what reveals the layers below. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going to, I'll edit this one. Okay, so here's an image. This was taken by a student last year. Okay, there's a nice glow from the sunlight coming in here, but let's say I want just my pumpkin to be in color. So the first thing that you can do is add, you can do levels adjustments if you need to, but you can just go right for the black and white adjustment layer. Oops. Sorry. Okay. I'm just scooch that over out of the way. Ugh, it keeps going away. Sorry. Okay. I'll put it over here. Okay, so this is the default setting for the black and white, and you see that you really lose the pumpkin because these values are similar. So you can play with the sliders to adjust the image. So maybe, if you know that your pumpkin is orange and the two colors that make orange are red and yellow, you can adjust the red slider to affect that pumpkin differently, and you can see what that's doing to other parts of the image. So you can also try some of the preset filters in here and see if that works for you. But I'm going to leave it on default. And another trick that you can do is you can actually use this little hand tool, and that will actually affect, like now a little eyedropper pops up. So wherever I put that on my composition, it's going to affect the colors that are there underneath. So I can drag it one way, and what that's going to do is affect that area that is that orange color. So really nothing else in my image is changing because it's a unique color. So get this over here. Maybe that looks pretty good. Okay. You can also do some stuff with the blue area in the water. You can lighten that up, whatever looks good. Okay, so play around with that until you get a look that you like. Here you can also add a tint. So this gives you sort of like a warm glow, and you can change how that looks, where it can be really subtle. You could make it like a cool color. Okay, I'm going to leave it off for now. Okay, so this is a mask. Whatever's white in this little thumbnail here means it's revealing this adjustment and hiding the layer below. So if I want part of this image to show up in color, I would need to color the thumbnail in with my black paintbrush. Okay, so I'm going to click on the black and white to go to the default foreground and background colors. Okay, because you want to use pure black and pure white. Otherwise, if you use a gray tone, it's partially revealing or partially hiding. So I'm going to make sure that my thumbnail is active. My mask thumbnail is active. You'll see those little white corners pop up, and I'm going to click on a brush tool. I don't necessarily want to be at 100% hardness. I might want to have sort of fuzzy edges, so I'm going to knock it down to about 80%. And I want to use a brush that is appropriate for the object that I'm trying to reveal. So I'm going to zoom in by hitting Command plus on my keyboard, and make sure that I'm on 100% black. Check your opacity and your flow. Make sure those are also set to 100%. And then you just click and start to fill in that pumpkin. So I'm not going to take too much time doing this perfectly, but obviously when you do it on your final image, you would want to do this really carefully and think about what needs to be really cleaned up in your image. And there you have it, black and white with a pop of color. And if I use my open and close bracket keys, I can change the dimensions of my brush. And now if I made a mistake and I'm like, oops, I didn't mean to color that in, I can hit X on my keyboard, or I can click on this little arrow to switch back and forth between background and foreground color. So if I just click X, I get back to white as my color, and now I can just fill that back in with white and it will fix that right up, no big deal. And any other areas that maybe you went a little bit out of control on. Okay. Command 0 to view it full screen, and there you have a black and white adjustment layer with a pop of color by filling in whatever you want revealed below it with the black brush. Here I can also adjust the opacity, so maybe it's a subtle black and white, so there's still some color showing through. You can also, I'm going to duplicate this, turn this off, and I just want to show you if you use a gray for your mask, what's going to happen. So just fill this in gray. So it's partially coloring in. Okay, so you can see the difference where this is really bright orange. So if you do want a more of a subtle look, you can use gray for the mask. What else did I want to show you? I guess that was it. Okay. So that's, like I said, black and white with a pop of color, and you can modify this as you see fit. Okay, and make sure you save this as a PSD and then flatten it and save it as a JPEG, and make sure you include your signature on that image. And you can get something that looks like this. Okay, so have fun. One of your images should be black and white with a pop of color.